I had a pretty normal upbringing for the first 9 years. My father battled a lot with addictions, and I didn't know that until I was probably around 9 or 10, and my parents split up. I started doing drugs when I was 14, and my mother ended up getting into a relationship with a woman who was very controlling, very abusive. Life was really bad. My brother couldn't stay in school because he was constantly fighting. My dad, he was just a shell of a man. I felt like I had nothing. I can remember calling out to God and saying I didn't believe in him, and I contemplated killing myself. I thought, this place just sucks. I just want out of here. You know, I had learned a little bit about God, and I thought that killing yourself was a sin that was not forgivable. And so I thought that if I killed myself, that I would go to hell. And that was probably the only place that was worse than where I was living. And so I didn't. I just didn't. I thought about it a lot, but I didn't. I started to see a shift in my life was that point when we left Oregon and we moved to Idaho. In my senior year, my first husband, who I was still dating at that time, was actually living here in Washington and I was living in Idaho. And he called me up and he says, you know, my dad talked to me about going to church. And so I went to church, and it was actually really good, and you should go to church too. And so I said, yeah, I can do that. I'll go to church. And I went to church, and that was spring of my senior year, 1999. And they did an altar call, and I just thought maybe the God of all creation might know how to live life the right way. So I'll give him a try. And I just burst into tears, and it was like years of stress and hurt and pain and fear just all came rushing out on this poor woman who was praying with me at church that day. The words can't explain how in love with the Lord that I am. There is nothing on this planet that is better than him, and I've certainly tried a lot. My life is awesome. I have 2 wonderful little boys. They have a normal life. They don't worry about if the cops are going to show up. They don't worry about if their parents are going to disappear, if they're going to have food. They worry about how they're going to fit in football practice and homework. And that's more than I could ever ask for. I just am blessed beyond measure that he came and got me out of the pits. I was in such a dark place. He never judged me. He just dusted me off, cleaned me up. It's just, that's God. That's God only. He is so good, and anything that he walks you into is greater than anything you could have ever have asked for or imagined.